So we are live here.
Yes.
Very, very happy to be back to the Prismic Meetup again, and very happy to have you, Nuha. Often you are behind the scene.
Yes.
Today, what we have Renaud behind the scene, and now you are here.
Yeah.
What happened?
We're going to talk about marketing, so I guess it's me here, not Renaud. It's not only product today.
You are a marketing person.
Yes. Yes, I didn't say that, but yes, I am.
Cool. So thank you everyone for being around. There are quite some people around. We'll go through the
Outline?
agenda, what we will have, but not right now, right away. I guess I'm always, I really like the international aspect of Prismic in terms of our employees, but also our audience and users that are all from around the world, and that's why I like to spend a little bit of time of knowing where people are.
Where they're
from which
located now?
countries,
Okay.
yeah, and what's the weather there, what's happening in there. I like to have that kind of run.
Cool.
But while people are answering, are you having any plans to go to any country?
Me?
So basically, we are now here in where? We are in Paris, right?
Yes,
Yes.
in France.
In France, Paris. Last week I was in Dubai.
Oh.
Have you been there?
Never, but I have friends who live there. They're trying to convince me. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of artificial countries. I don't know.
It's a very surprising country, actually.
Yeah.
It's there are many things to visit. It's very international. This is a good thing. They speak in English. There are a lot of. It's very international
Right.
country.
Country?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
You need to know that when Sadek came back from Dubai, he was talking only about Dubai for like 10 days. So
but
he
then
really
it
liked
slowed
it.
down. But then it slowed down at some point.
Yeah.
So are you planning to visit any country?
So I come from Morocco, so I'm going in Morocco actually next Wednesday. I have a wedding of a friend, so it's not really visiting. I know the country, but I'm going next week
To Morocco.
to Morocco. Yeah.
So people in the chat, where are you
Connecting
joining
from?
from?
Yeah. I see
And
Lydia. Lydia, she comes from Serbia, so I see her. Alex is in the US.
Serbia is a beautiful country, I heard.
Yeah, I've never been, but looks cool. I saw some pictures. So waiting for people to tell us from where they're connecting. We have someone coming from Auckland.
Oakland. And it's as hot as hell. What is hot for you? Is it? But now we have to do the conversion. Because some people tell me like 35 is hot. For me, 35 is
Degrees?
not hot. Yeah, degrees. For me, 35. But I don't know what in Fahrenheit how much it will make. But
We
35.
can check. In the city where I come from in Morocco, they can go to over 50 degrees.
Yeah,
so
but that's hot.
yes.
So again, we're talking back about Dubai. That's something that I observed. Like you get out of, so everything is air conditioned there. But when you get out of air conditioning, it's like a lot of heat hitting your
yeah.
face. Like you feel that you're going into an oven or something.
Yeah. In Morocco, we have the same. So we have like a very special way of living in the summer. Like we start working and going to school very early, and then we leave like 3 p.m. so that then we go to like a
At 3 p.m.
AC.
it's end of day.
Yeah.
End of the
So
day.
that we don't
You
take breaks
work out.
during lunchtime. So we don't go outside. It's a different way of living during the summer.
Oh, we have Juan from Ecuador.
Nice. It looks like a beautiful country. I want to visit Ecuador.
Yeah, it's very far though. I don't know how many
Yeah, it looks
hours
nice.
the plane
It looks nice.
from Europe, but
Yeah.
it looks nice. We have Florida. We have Bordeaux.
Good wine.
France, Pierre-Yves. And we have a student from
Oh, Brazil is
India.
nice too. Okay. Now you make us wanna. Renaud is saying
Phoenix.
so in Brazil because he went to Brazil I think like a few years ago and he got how do you say that?
A broken nose.
A broken nose.
A bad
after
experience.
Fighting with people. So.
But that's an individual experience. Doesn't talk about the country at all.
yes. I said nice. Me, I would like to go to Brazil one day.
Malaga, Spain. Malaga is a very beautiful place. Yeah, I would like to go
Yeah.
there.
I guess they're tired of Moroccans. Lots of Moroccans go and travel there during the summer. So
And we have someone
went
from
to
Canada. We have a guest actually from Canada. So
Yes.
there is Marius, who is from Canada. Thank you for joining us from Canada. And we have a guest from Canada. We're going to
Yes.
talk about that.
maybe it's a good way to introduce that, no?
Go for it.
Yes. So maybe we can see the outline of today's meetup. If the studio, yes. Well, I don't I don't have good eyes, so it's hard for me to read from here. But I can give you more or less what I know will happen.
What you remember? Yes.
So we did the welcome part. Goal just to also wait for everyone to gather. We shared Uber Eats vouchers in the beginning, so I hope you were able to get a good lunch or dinner. What we're gonna do is we have a meetup in 2 parts. First, we're gonna have a discussion with someone that myself I admire a lot, who's called Sam. He's from a company that I love also, it's called ahrefs. So we'll talk about how do you scale content creation while keeping a good level of quality on the content that you release. And then we'll look into also how we do that at Prismic. So I'll talk a bit about what we put in place so far, show you a little bit the tools that we use.
Yeah, we'll
and
go more technical.
Yeah. And give also perspective on the challenges that we have. I think it's good also to share like the challenges and the things that we're trying to solve for at the moment. So yeah, hopefully that also helps you. I can't read that level, that next. The last part is that we're going to look at some community examples with that our users, like good ideas that our users implemented in their own websites and blogs that increase engagement. So I want to share that with you. And then we're going to finish with a Q&A, and I want to give you a perspective on like what the next meetup would be about, so that also you know.
That's really cool. I have a few questions about the outline.
Mm-hmm.
I want just to say that we have more people answering the question. We have Netherlands, we have Montreal, and that's cool. A lot of countries. So you were talking about the fact that how can we increase the production of content.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but you're linking
good
it
level of quality.
Because why? Why you're asking this question? Why this is important? Because how can you lose quality basically?
How can so many ways? So many
They're
ways.
opposed, right? Producing more will reduce quality. This is what you're saying.
Yeah,
basically.
and sometimes like what defines quality is in the heads of people, and it's hard to like share it and make sure that you get this level of quality that you're used to, like when you grow your team or when you involve more people. And so it's very hard to
quality in terms of what? Maybe this is what we'll ask our guests about.
There are different ways of defining quality. In terms of metrics, you can see it in like people, they read your content, they don't like come and leave. Your SEO ranks keeps increasing, so Google understands that this is high quality content and they want to recommend it to people. So there are different ways I would say we can define quality, but more or less the idea is to say you want to do more. How can you do more, but with this of what you're doing currently, without like having your website and your content lowering their quality level
and their performance and all of that, right? So and so you had these questions, and then you looked for who is the person to answer these questions, and I guess it's hard to find better than
according to me, because I love the content that company.
Well, I guess everyone is fan. A lot of people are fans of Sam.
Yes. A lot of people in the team are excited about that, so I'm hoping a lot of people in the stream outside of this of our team are excited about.
And it's not about the fact that actually ahrefs are, it's a very important tool for doing all of these kind of or the optimization and the content production, but also because Sam himself is
producing that content,
producing a lot of content, and they are very impressive in the way they produce. We're going to talk about that, I suppose, right?
So should we welcome our guests?
Let's go. Let's welcome our guest.
Okay, let's go. Hello.
Hello.
Cool. We can hear you. Hi, Sam. So, quick intro. I'll let you introduce more yourself, but why I was very excited about having you here. So, you're the VP of Marketing at ahrefs. I know you a lot from the YouTube channel that ahrefs has. We also produce a lot of YouTube content. And I've always been very excited about the quality of your content. I know your blog is also a resource that a lot of my friends visit. So super excited to have you here. I have some like interesting facts that will keep like growing excitement from people who are here. So about ahrefs, you have over 300,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. In the last 3 years.
How much is that?
300,000.
Wow, this is a big number for a company.
That's big.
Huge.
And that you don't get if you don't do quality content.
It doesn't happen accidentally, basically.
Yeah. And apart from like, besides the YouTube channel, like the team is producing a lot of content when it comes to like blog posts, email newsletters, tweets, courses. So there's a lot. I sent this information in the email that I used to invite lots of people. Just to give people an idea, it's in the last 3 years, there were like more than 250 blog posts sent, almost as much newsletters, and 3 courses on the platform that are also great resources for anyone who wants to learn about SEO. So it's a lot of content to produce. It's worth saying that the team of ahrefs, according to LinkedIn, is only 90 people, so it's pretty small team.
Pretty small team, yeah.
And so it's very impressive what this team is managing to build. So yeah, we're here to learn from you, basically.
Yeah.
Thanks for your kind words. And yeah, it's been quite the ride. I've been here now for 4 years, and at that time our team was much smaller. I think we were at around 40, something like that. And and then at that time the content wasn't so streamlined. We didn't even have we had a YouTube channel, but it wasn't really active. And yeah, basically myself and another person, Josh, who is head of content, so for the blog, came on around the same time. And I guess over the years we've been able to kind of streamline our processes, and Tim, who's the CMO, has played a big part in the hiring process as well to scale our marketing operations.
Awesome, cool. That's a very good transition to the first question I want to ask you. But just opening this to also saying that anyone who has questions, you can draw them in the chat, and we'll also try to address them.
I will double on that.
Yeah.
Now, this is the time you have Sam in front of you, and you can ask him any questions, I hope, and you will give us all the secrets, right? You're ready to give us all the secrets, are you?
Absolutely everything.
Everything. Cool.
Cool. So you mentioned you hired a lot of people in the team since you joined. Just for those because we have some also developers in our audience, for those who don't know much about content creation, can you describe who are the different people who are involved in the creation of content? Let's say if we take the example of a blog post, or let's take the example of a blog post. I know you also know a lot about video production. What are the different roles that interact together to put together like a quality piece?
Yeah, so now we are, I guess, in a more mature phase than 4.5, 5 years ago, whatever it was. And I find that there is quite a bit of collaboration, but it's usually only 2 people collaborating at different stages of the process. So we start off with keyword research, and we're basically looking for queries that our potential customers are searching for. And so all of our content, pretty much all of our content, is very product-led, meaning that we can naturally integrate our products into solving people's problems. So, for example, how to do keyword research, you need a keyword research tool for that, and we have one. So we can naturally just kind of integrate that in. And in order to solve that problem, when someone searches for how to do keyword research and they find our guide, they realize, oh, we actually need a tool to do this. And it's a natural plug. So it usually starts off with the keyword research, and we'll start outlining, and then we have a very, very heavy peer review process. So from the outlining stage, someone will actually come and look at the outline, and we're looking for things like flow, we're looking for key points, we're looking to see if we match search intent. So basically, when someone searches for a query, are we going to be able to solve that problem with the content that we plan to produce? After that's gone through, we'll leave some comments, usually using Google Docs. And the writer will go ahead and write that content, and then it goes back to the peer review phase, and someone will review that content, make sure that everything's there's no hype, it's just facts, straight to the point. This is how we would do it, that we have the right product plugs where relevant, and we have designers that are kind of integrated into this process for things like featured images, for custom images. And we've learned to optimize that over time in terms of when we start sending those to designers, because there is time that needs to pass for exactly. And then there's review processes for the design for all the images and everything too. And recently, I guess within the past 6 months, we hired someone dedicated to just editing. And now she handles all of that, and as well as the publishing. So in other teams that I've worked with, we call them an uploader. So it's basically someone who's going to be uploading the content, making sure that everything is perfectly sound before hitting that publish button.
Okay, so there's like someone doing the keyword research, then there's outlining with peer review, then it goes to writing, then it goes at the same time. There's still peer review happening, but you start anticipating with the like illustrations creation. Then it goes to editing and then to uploading.
Basically, it's a little bit fragmented in the way that it sounds, but it's like surprisingly, I guess anything operations is very visual. I guess when you see flowcharts and things, it starts to make a little bit more sense. But yeah, so basically that is our general process in terms of how it works. And because we are an SEO company, all of our writers actually know how to do the keyword research process. So we don't have someone who's dedicated to doing keyword research. People can pick their own topics and they can pitch them each month, and then we'll see how valuable that is to our business and prioritize accordingly.
That's good.
I have 10 questions, or maybe 20.
Go ahead.
But I don't want to break the flow.
Go ahead,
please
go ahead.
tell me.
No, go ahead.
So there are so many things that you said, and there are like subtle words that you use here and there that have importance, and I want to bring like focus to this the importance of these words. But first, I would like to start with a comment. Is the entire Ahrefs team 90 people, or the marketing team is 90 people? I guess I know the answer for that, but can you tell us what the size of the marketing team basically?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think we're still pretty small at around 10 people, 10 or 12 people. We have, in terms of the actual content team, I think we have around 6 or 7 full-time writers for the blog, and for video, it's just me.
Wow. But you still work with the contractors or freelancers?
We've only recently started working with freelancers again for content, and there's a specific way we choose freelancers to write for us. We don't really accept guest posts or anything like that, which is just, it's free content, but we would rather pay for content that we actually want. And yeah, it's just removes a lot of friction.
So there's something that you mentioned. You said that we look at the keywords and then we get ideas about the content that we want to write. So we look at the search terms and then we look at what kind of content we want to write about that. And then you said something like, but we try to see if it's solving their actual problem.
So the search intent.
The search, So are we solving their problem? Cannot we cheat? Cannot we hear, like, I hear some people say like, okay, let's just put the keyword out there and have a good balance of keyword versus other words. Or some people tell you, hey, use AI for producing the articles and it will do well on SEO, all these kind of things. Don't you think that we can cheat and just throw content out there that has the keywords and then things will make good performance?
So I have seen AI content sites rank extremely quickly and extremely well because the content is created programmatically, so you can literally scale the content as far as you want to go. I've run my own tests on just in terms of how good AI content is, and it's not bad. But for technical topics like SEO, it's really bad. So when somebody actually comes to read it, they're not going to get value from it. And whether it ranks or not, like, our purpose is to create content that's going to attract our potential customers, educate them, and eventually they're going to make a decision to use our tool or you don't use it. And AI content, I don't think is going to be enough to convince somebody to actually make that decision, because at the end of the day, nobody really cares about traffic if it's not converting.
Yeah, so it's not about, you maybe can cheat Google, but you will not be able to, if you don't educate the people and bring them value, then they're not going to convert into your, using the tool. And that's why we should care about this, basically.
Yeah, and also these AI content sites, they're quickly, like, AI content is still relatively new and it's still evolving. But from the sites that I've seen where mostly affiliate sites where they've just scaled it like crazy. You usually see like a crazy traffic graph like this, and then all of a sudden it just drops off. So for people who actually want to create a sustainable business, you're not going to be going and creating AI content basically for all of you to power your content machine, because it's too risky. Like, I don't think that Prismic would do that and potentially give up a great business, because it just doesn't make sense to do that for a potential quick win.
Right.
But it makes sense now that you say it's for affiliate sites. That's true. No, it makes sense. Yeah.
But I love also
churn and burn.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you said like then we put I don't know, links to the product when it's relevant, when it makes sense. That's the same thing. Like you cannot just throw it all around, right?
Yeah. So we don't stuff our product recommendations. So if our product is not a good fit and it just seems kind of forced, like that comes out in the peer review process. So I still review Josh's content for the blog. And if I feel like he's trying to force something where it just feels really salesy and irrelevant, I'll just tell him sounds forced, and he can make the decision whether he agrees or not.
That's good.
Okay, part of the guidelines. Sounds forced. Doesn't pass the peer review.
Yeah.
I will let back to you to go to the outline.
Yes. So something about our users is that a lot of them are, let's say, teams starting at like 50 people. So some of them are starting actually like a content strategy, and like it's interesting, I think, for them to look into like. And you mentioned you joined ahrefs at the beginning of like the content team growth. So how did the team evolve? Like what were the first people you hired? How were they working? And then who did you add progressively to the teams that you, when you scale, you have like a good balance of the bandwidth for the different roles.
And I agree. I mean, when you talked about this structure that you have, it's a little bit intimidating. I might think like, oh, that's a lot of work. Do I want to kind of start with producing content? Because that's a lot of people, a lot of process, and maybe it's intimidating. So I joined this question that way.
Yeah, so I guess before I started, I wasn't a part of the blog team to be frank. I was basically, they started off with, I believe Tim, when he joined ahrefs as marketing, he was a one-man marketing team. And eventually he started hiring other people. And so there were writers, but then the writers would also do other things. And it still, to a certain extent, works that way. And they've always had a heavy focus on quality. And when Josh joined, he had done some freelance writing for ahrefs, and he basically became like a 1.5 fan show. So it was him. And then slowly we started hiring other writers who had expertise in SEO and could write about these topics. And just over time, basically when you're in the trenches and you're actually doing these things, you start to see where there's a need. And so sometimes that's in areas where it's the most time consuming part, or maybe it's the part where you're not very strong, or it might be just parts that you just don't want to do. And sometimes it's not about laziness or anything. It's just that it kills workflow. Sometimes it's you have to do this 1 3-hour task, but then after the end of that 3 hour, it feels like you've had a 13-hour day. And basically identifying those things, and we call them blockers, is an easy way to kind of guide who you need to hire next. And so we eventually just focused on hiring writers. And so we hired a solid team of writers. And as that started to happen, the uploading and publishing, I think, started to get kind of backed up. And so even though we had articles written, it wasn't actually getting published quickly enough. And we always had, we had so many debates about scaling content with freelance writers. And we know that we're very picky with what we publish. And like, I can't even tell you how many times we just argued about this, where I'm like, hey, like if we want to scale, then we need to do this, this, and this. And then they're like, oh, well, this is going to happen and the quality is going to be garbage if we do it this way. And it's just tough to control. And eventually we come up with happy mediums, I think, that are now allowing us to produce more content while maintaining the quality that we originally had, at least for the most part.
I love two things that you said. This seems very elaborate. The fact that you didn't only look of, okay, what are the things that we don't know how to do, but also that kind of flow of the process, right? What kills the flow of the process? And you said like it's not only about laziness. Like there is something that comes in the middle and it kind of slows down everything because you have to switch between these tasks. And maybe we can hire someone to make the process more, fluid, right? This is really good. This is very elaborate thinking into, okay, how can we scale? And And the other thing that I'm wondering about, you talk a lot about the quality of content. It was important. I wanted to keep it that way. Did you sit on a table and say, like, what is quality of content? How do we define it? Ashraf, what does it mean for us, quality of content? And how can we make it something? Like, how can we guide the others of what it means for us? Or is it like more, okay, let's put peer reviewing and that will help us with that? Maybe there is a question that you prepared about this.
No, but it makes sense also, like a connected questions I had, and I think it's related. It's like what defines in the assembly line of a content piece the moment where it's ready to go. What are there the criteria to check? Is it like you need validations from a specific set of people? What makes a content of like, check the quality checklist? I don't know if there's one, but yeah.
Yeah, so quality is definitely subjective, no matter what you're doing. Even with like products that you might buy for the kitchen, one person might think that it's like very, very high quality and the next person thinks that it's absolute trash. And knowing that, we go in with the mentality of, when we're peer reviewing, is, at least when I do it with Josh and I have a very good relationship. We've been working together now for many years. And so when he reviews my content and I review his content, we're very, very blunt. And
Okay.
Like, I will just tell him straight up, I think that this section is trash. And he'll take it very well. Like, we take it very well, but we'll argue through it and we'll discuss it to actually come to, I guess, a decision. So a lot of it is just kind of like, does it seem like it's quality? Like, does this actually seem like it's going to serve search intent, like actually solve people's problems? Like, if you were to search for this and this topic is targeted for a beginner and you click to read this article, would your problem be solved? And that's a big part of our litmus test. Another part is more metric based, where we're looking at backlinks now, and you don't find that out until after.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing about blog content is that you can update it. So in the case that it's not great, you can always just refresh that content, and we refresh content all the time. So looking at, are people linking to this content, is kind of a good indicator of whether,
Nice.
I guess, it's link worthy, but that also depends on the audience. That's a little bit more technical and advanced in terms of whether it's link worthy. Traffic is another metric that we look at, because if we're serving search intent and we have the links and everything else is sound, then we're going to be ranking so people are actually clicking through to our articles. We don't use tools like Google Analytics, so in some ways it makes us feel a little bit blind, but at the same time it forces us to use some common sense. Where people often overanalyze metrics and they get lost in that, and sometimes the data is corrupted, and then you end up making bad decisions based on fake data, basically.
That's an interesting fact. I didn't know that you didn't use analytics.
Yeah, I mean, I like this approach of like data is a support, but then you have a logic of why we're doing what we're doing. We're doing it to serve people. Our content should serve people. It's not just like we need to hack something.
Yeah.
We need to serve people, and that's the focus and continues to be the focus. I have a question though about the earlier section here.
From the chat?
From the chat. We are a team, Socreate says, we are a team of 1.5. We write 2 blogs per week and update 1 blog for SEO. Do you think this is a good balance, or would you recommend updating more content as opposed to writing new content?
So that's very dependent, because the types of posts that you refresh, it depends, because there are many scenarios. So I'll talk about one scenario, is if your content is not matching search intent, but you have the backlinks to in comparison to the top 10 ranking pages to potentially be outranking them, but you are not actually matching searcher intent, then that is probably something I would prioritize to republish, because change the content to better match search intent. And we have seen this happen where we go from position 34 to position 4 in a matter of like 3 minutes. And so, yeah, like there's a whole
3
process
minutes.
There's a process to republishing content. Basically, we have a video on that as well, in terms of how to decide which content you should be republishing. And yeah, so that's more of a technical question. in terms of the quantity of output, if you're a 1.5 person team, I wouldn't be focusing so much on scale at this point, but it's more being in the trenches, figuring out what works and what is working for you and what is not, and documenting everything. And as you continue,
what do you mean? Can you detail what does it mean, documenting everything?
So we create SOPs for everything. When we joined, there were no SOPs. And I come from an agency background. I've come from running e-commerce stores and different businesses, and I've always been such a huge believer in SOPs for so many reasons. Like, just to name a few, it helps with user onboarding. So if somebody quits, you just bring someone on, they go through the onboarding and the SOPs, and they're able to get up to speed very quickly.
So SOP stands for?
Standard Operating Procedures.
Right. So
it's like documenting how you operate.
How you operate, the major steps of the process, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yep, and what that person's role would be. And so as you start to figure this out, you start to streamline your process, and you're like, oh, it seems easy at first once you've written it down, and you're like, oh, I'm really bad with grammar, so I need to hire an editor. And so you go and you hire an editor, and it seems easy, but scaling content is always harder than it seems. So even in our video, we make it seem streamlined, and I'm not trying to make it look like it's easy, because it's not. But once you actually go into that scaling process, you run into your own unique set of problems and company policies and whatever it might be. And that is kind of when you need to start problem solving. So for me, I'm very much an operations person. And so at the 1.5 person stage, I would just be focusing on getting things to work properly, as opposed to thinking like, should I republish this? Should I publish more? Should I hire freelance writers? Because then things start to get very messy if you haven't quite figured out what is working for your company.
Right, so figure out what's working for your company. This is the primary goal, basically.
Yeah, from a content perspective, I would be doing that. Like, what is actually converting people into customers? What are we ranking for? Can we rank for it? And yeah, you needed some SEO knowledge for that. And if you don't have that, then as a first hire, I would recommend going with somebody who is a senior content marketing manager, I guess, or very senior if you can afford to pay for that, and ideally has experience in your niche or with your product.
Right. So I would like just to check how we're doing on time, because we have quite a few questions from the chat, and we have other things that we want to cover. But you're the master of time.
I'm the master of time. I can tell you we're already a little bit over time, so maybe we can take, if it's okay with you, Sam, one question from the chat, so one or two. What do you think?
Okay, let me see. Okay, so Penfold is saying, you mentioned you update old content all the time. Do you have a formal process for this? What does it look like?
Yeah, so updating content, we choose basically based on what is low-hanging fruit. So if we were to update this content, do we think that it will rank higher? Do we think that we can include more product recommendations? So for example, we have a post on broken link building that was just republished yesterday. We have enough links for it, but we also have a new feature that's very unique in one of our tools, Content Explorer, where you can find broken link building opportunities by topic. And I believe we are the only tool that can do that. So is it worth it to republish it? Absolutely, because now as people find it, then they start to see that Ahrefs has an indispensable feature that nobody else has. And so naturally it's going to make people want to try it.
Good.
Yeah, so in terms of the process to do it, it's basically just a matter of looking at search intent and then updating it accordingly. Like it's tough to explain because I could talk about it for 15 minutes. And we have a 15-minute tutorial on it on our blog and on our YouTube
we'll link
channel.
to it, yeah.
So I will leave it at that.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great. And probably afterwards we can add it to the comments of this video, the link to the video that you're talking about. That's really cool.
Yeah. Do you want to take another question? Do you see another
You
one?
told me one question, I asked a question. You
Okay.
want another question? I can bring another question in here. But I guess maybe you want to bring other topics that we didn't cover.
I think we actually covered like naturally most of the topics, so that's
Naturally,
cool.
I love it.
I wanted to use at some point, if we had more time, to talk a bit about YouTube content and create video content,
that's really
because
interesting.
it's harder. It's not like, as you mentioned, for the blog, you can just edit the blog and then you can like rework it, republish it. For video, it's much harder. So it's a very interesting topic, but maybe we can cover it another time, and there's lots of resources there. But yeah, we already took a lot of time. So
you want another question, or you want to cover YouTube? This is your choice. You're the organizer.
okay, one question about YouTube. I'm wondering, so what is the what's the publication workflow for videos? Because it's very different. Like you are the one making most of the videos, so I wonder, for those who want to invest in the video format, like what we're doing here, who's involved in the creation of the videos that you're working on, and like what's the whole the publication workflow until you get the results that we can see on the YouTube channel.
And actually, a pre-question, so a question before the question: does Ahrefs works for videos or not at all? Or are there any plans?
Yeah, there is YouTube.
There is YouTube. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we do have YouTube use cases, and I kind of just figured them out as I started playing with ahrefs, and I was like, oh, I think we can use this for this. We released YouTube keyword data, and yeah, there are use cases for YouTube to answer the pre-question. To get to the question about, I guess, production workflow, the blog's workflow was actually created from the video's workflow. So because I came from that background of very like SOPs, operations, like structured systems, basically we use a project management system. We use Notion. You can use
I was going to ask where you document. Okay, you answered that.
Yeah,
Notion.
So you can use Trello. Basically, we use Kanban boards because they're really helpful. And you can use Trello, Airtable, Asana, and basically each column is a stage of the production process. So for blogs, that might be outlining, drafting, editing, whatever. And then for video, because it's just me, I have the flexibility to be a little bit sloppier with my own language in there because I'm the only one who's really looking at it. And our team has now kind of adapted to it, sorry. And so I'll start with, I don't pass my outlines really by anyone because there's nobody else in the video team to do that with. So I'll start with scripting. So all of our videos are scripted. And the reason for the scripting is because on YouTube, people have an extremely short attention span, especially. Like they'll just skip through the video. Like as soon as the video starts, before they even hear the first word, they'll skip a minute down to see what's going on. And so I'll script the content, and then that will go through the peer review process, and Josh reviews all of my content, and then it'll go to recording. So I'll usually batch record. So I'll write, 3 or 4 scripts, and I'll put them all into the recording column. And when I have some time, I'll spend a couple hours to record these videos. And after that, now we go to a producer, and basically he'll do the basic cuts. Or actually, we changed that recently. So after I record it,
so question about the recording, if I may.
Sure.
So you script it. Do you read, or do you just go through it several times and then it becomes natural? When you say scripting, is it like the outline? Is it the main ideas that you want to bring and you have them in front of you when you're doing the video? Or is it more you have actually a detailed script and you're almost reading from there? How does it go between the scripting and actually performing the video?
Through a teleprompter. It's literally word for word.
Wow.
And if I were to go, and I've learned to write as I speak. So if you try to read a blog post like that, it sounds very unnatural and it sounds like you're reading a book or whatever. But if I literally write in things like, if I'm going to say or whatever, I'll literally write in or whatever. And so when I'm going through this teleprompter stage, and I've kind of split it into different segments so that there will be natural cuts that go through it. And, the B-roll is planned to a certain extent.
Nice.
And and then it'll go to, I'll tag our 2 editors and our producer, and I'll say it's ready for cuts. And whoever has the time and space will go in and they'll say working on it. and they'll cut it, and then it goes to our producer, who's going to actually mark things. So we use Premiere Pro to produce our videos, and he'll go in, and there are markers that you can create, and you can create different notes at different time codes. And he has a little bit of experience in SEO, and so he knows more what I'm talking about than the editors would. And so he'll create notes for the editors, like, oh, we want this to happen here. We want to add a custom animation here, and this is what's going to happen. You need to create a task for our designers to create these custom animations.
Okay, that part. So you need to have someone that knows about SEO, knows about YouTube, to be able to optimize. Not only someone that deals with video production, right?
Yeah. So he's not a producer by trade. He's a photographer by trade, actually. But he's just kind of picked up through his own personal projects, and he's very, very quickly, like, we've built very, very good synergy over the past 2 years now. And yeah, so that has saved me tons of time, which lets me work on different projects, operations related, and also produce more content, which is harder to find somebody to replace to do that.
And this is coming a lot through this synergy is coming a lot through all what you're talking about. Like you mentioned it several times, like having this deep relation with the coworkers that you work with. It seems to be important for you and important to get things rolling, right?
Absolutely. And I feel like it's something that's overlooked often in companies, where people look at them as workers, and that's just not the case. Is their relationships. And so with my team, at least, I like to think that I have a good relationship with each person, and I genuinely care for each person and their personal and professional well-being. And so yeah, I feel like over time, when you invest in that, like my team, we have not lost a single person since I joined. So yeah, I've been working with the same people for as long as I've been here.
Well done. Congratulations. This is so important as a metric, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's critical. But yeah, that's pretty much our production process. And then our editor will go through the marker notes and then just do everything that needs to be done, that's been asked to be done. And the producer will do all the reviews. And there'll be like 5 or 6 different renders that happen before it comes to me. And then I'll do the final review, and mainly just looking for technical issues that the producer might have misunderstood. And then after, I'll send it to the person who handles our descriptions and tags and uploads our videos. And with the thumbnail, that is, as soon as it's in the recording stage, I'll send the thumbnail description to our designer, who will do it then, to not block our process, so that he has ample time to put together the thumbnail. And it helps.
It's an important piece, right? It's an important piece, the thumbnail.
Oh, it's huge. And there are times where him and I will go back and forth for like 4 days through like 12 iterations of a thumbnail, because it just doesn't feel right.
I see.
Well, thanks a lot for just staying way over time and for sharing as much as you.
Is there a space for one quick question? Very quick question. Is it all right for you?
Of course.
Okay. So if you don't use analytics, which you said, right? You don't use analytics. How do you measure what content is going to convert, I guess, or working to convert? That's the question that we have from the chat.
So we don't necessarily look at one content piece and assign a value to it, but we do look at our annual recurring revenue, and it continues to go up and to the right. And we just don't think about it too much. If our revenue is growing at a quick pace, and it has been, I believe, over the last 4 years or so, we've been growing on average at 50% year over year. And so we've grown quite quickly, and it just keeps happening, and we just keep doubling down on what we're doing, and it just seems to be working for us. I think a lot of that is also common sense too, in terms of, is this converting? Well, if it's getting 3,000 monthly visits, and prior to that happening, our annual recurring revenue was down lower, and now it's going higher, and this is truly a post that solves users' problems, then why not? Like, we have a Slack channel that shows where registrations came from, and that is it's customer input. So, for example, with YouTube, um, naturally now we get hundreds and hundreds of registrations from people saying that they discovered us through YouTube, and including free and paid. I can't remember what, I think as of last year there was over
So you do
40,000
surveys,
people.
right? So you do surveys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. To
Yeah.
understand. Yeah. The attribution is very hard, by the way.
Extremely difficult. And if you do it wrong, then you're leading your marketing the wrong way, and it's just, it could be
bad
a
knowledge.
disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. We can go forever with this, but I will. Yeah. Well, that's really nice. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks for your time and for sharing as much. Yeah.
Yeah,
super.
there's a lot to learn from this, and yeah, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for
your content that you create also, because
yeah,
it's very
of course.
useful for me at least. So thanks for that.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye, Sam.
Bye.
Cool. So
it was hard to stop it. Let
I
me,
know.
yeah. But now we're
I saw you.
But now we're all set for doing the same magic for ourselves.
Yes. So I'll go quickly on the practice about us, because it really overlaps a lot with what was discussed. Maybe if we can see my screen, that would be great. Cool. So I just wanted to also like put that in perspective and show you like the tools that ourselves were using. Maybe one day we'll open source them, or like publish them publicly when they're very structured, but just to give you an idea also on what we're working on. So it's not me, it's Grace from the team who's working on with these tools, and she's the one putting in place, so I'm just presenting for her, but she has all of the credit and she's in the chat, so if you
You're
have questions,
stealing her work and presenting it.
no. I'm adding the disclaimer in the beginning.
You did.
And if you have questions for her, she's in the chat, so you can ask her there.
And Grace
or you
is a great person, and I really love working with her.
So to make sure all our content progresses, and it's a small team, it's like Grace and 7 freelancers working on the content that we produce on our blog, and it's pretty much me and another person who's just joined us working on the content that we have on our YouTube channel. So it is a small team. We have like calendars like this where we can track the progress of each piece to make sure none is like blocked, and we have some perspective on when every piece will be published. And then in each piece we have like, as Sam mentioned, like, so for the videos we have the scripts of the videos. For the different content, there are like SEO notes, like some draft when there's a draft available. Like we just all the content you need, and everything that happens on that piece so that it gets published. Some also great tool that Grace put in place is like.
But wait! Like you're jumping too
I'm
quickly
going
into
quickly
this.
because I know we
don't have
spent
time,
a lot
right?
of time, so I'm giving an overview and then we can.
But I want to go a step back,
Okay,
right?
tell me.
Can I?
Yes, you
Just
can.
give me 5 minutes,
You
and
can,
then
tell
you
me.
can go back into your flow.
Tell me.
So basically, what is it? You came and you started building this marketing/content team.
Yes.
Yes. So, and what? Like you thought like, okay, I want to do YouTube, I want to do content, or what? How did you organize the thing? Like, okay, imagine there is a company that want to go and start focusing on creating some kind of movement in marketing. Okay, how did you do? Where did you start from?
Where did we start from?
Just to get to the story. Now you said you
Yeah.
are a small team of 3 people, right?
Yes.
The marketing team. So how did you get there?
Not the whole marketing team, the team working on content.
I mean the content team. Yes.
So we started with videos actually, because we didn't have great writers internally, and so we thought it would be better to invest in video, and it's easier. You just come in front of a camera, and it's easier to produce, and it's a bit differentiating again. So we have this studio that we put in place where we create content. Pretty much what Sam described. So we do some keyword research, and like we did some research first to understand who is using our product, what are the tools, the discussions, the topics that they care about, and then we create content about this in video
to
format.
add value for them, right? For their search,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. So we started doing that with video, and then we wanted to really look into the written format. So we hired Grace. For us, it's a little bit tricky because we have developers also as part of our like big user base. So we need someone who is able, a bit like what Sam described, like they need people who know about SEO because they are a tool for SEO people. The same way, we had to find someone who is a very good content person, but also is not afraid by technical topics. And so this is what Grace is. So we hired Grace because she's a good person, has a good has that mix of interest in like SEO and content, but also in development related.
Do you think
topics.
there is a synergy, as Sam described it?
Between video and
No,
content?
between you and your team. That's what he
I
talked
hope
about.
so.
You
Yes,
hope
I
so.
love my team, so I hope so. Yes.
Let's see if they will comment on that. They don't have to. Anyway, go back. So a team of this team, and then you were talking about how you organize yourself,
Yeah,
right?
and so
you're going through.
Grace had also experience, like Sam, experience in like building SEO strategies for clients. And so she put in place the kinds of tools that Sam talked about. So this is one of the tools that's like a calendar, a content calendar, where we have view on all the different pieces we want to create, and we see the progress, and we can track, make sure that everything is advancing, and that we have like perspective on what will be published. She put in place like a whole system with like us. We work with freelance writers. So to keep a good level of quality, we actually work with developers for the developer content, and Grace is the one like adding the layer of content on top of it. Oh, I speak too quickly. I'm sorry. That's me. My mom tells me that all the time. Yes, we work with freelance writers, but it's not really. We don't accept guest posts much yet still.
So
also
the same
because
thing
of quality.
as
But so we spend more time working with writers who are technical, and Grace spends a lot of time editing the content and like doing most of the like outlining part and the back and forth with them, because we want a certain level of quality on the technical content that we produce.
Right, and you have a third person in the content team, right?
Yes, in the content for like content strategy, we have Pierre-Yves, who just joined, that will work on the content strategy for YouTube content, so video content.
Right, and then you have Lydia. Did you mention? I
didn't mention Lydia. Lydia, she's focusing more on the website, so I don't know if that makes sense
cool.
to
No, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned the whole
I have
team.
her in my noise.
So I didn't want to put you off track. So go ahead and on what was planned.
My goal
for you?
was to show you the tools that like a small team that is still being built uses. So maybe it gives you perspective on what you can use, and if at some point you want help or you want to talk to us about how we organize, I'll also have like a way for you to reach out to us later on. So yeah, we have this content calendar, and then Grace put in place also great tools for the communication with the writers. So that's also the same thing. We keep a good level of quality. So I'm just gonna go
Is it for reviewing? Is it what?
So she has like a style guide where she explains like how a blog post should be structured, like the different like the checklist that she sends to them. So this is great. Since some of them are not used to being like writers, because we want to get people who are more like experts in their fields instead of just writers, she also put together a document about how she'll work with them. So it helps them like transform them into writers. So that's really cool as well. And then for every blog post, she has a few elements. So she has helpful resources to help the people that she works with create better content from the beginning. So all of this is what I would put into the famous SOPs. So yeah, that will evolve. But she also like specifies what is the goal of this article, who is the target audience. So trying to give them all the tools and knowledge so that they write good content, and they're also they grow as writers. And she's been telling me that a lot of the technical writers she's working with are actually getting more and more interested in the concept of writing, and they're asking her for feedback, and they're very eager to learn. So that's also something that
a true collaboration. It's not only like here.
Yeah, I think they're learning from the whole process as well. So that's cool.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. And so then we upload content in Prismic when it's ready. And this is something I want to show you, because for those who are users of Prismic, it shows also everything that you can use and to make more engaging content. So for Grace,
it's like I like what when Sam was speaking, he said like, and naturally Ahrefs is relevant to the content they're writing because it's a tool that helps them in their strategy. Likewise, Prismic is a tool that helps us in our strategy of producing content, but in a different way, right? Not in the way that Ahrefs we do use Ahrefs, right? But Prismic, it helps us in that kind of strategy,
Yeah, so typically one of the big things that we like using Prismic for is that you have the concept of slices. So Grace with our developer assigned to the marketing team.
So wait, we have a developer assigned to
Yes.
the content team.
They created slices,
That's
so
Samuel,
website
right?
sections, yes,
Yeah.
that are specific to the blog to have some very engaging sections. So typically something that they recently added is this, like, not the tweet quote, sorry. They added this one, like the call out, because Grace wanted to add call outs. And so now she has like a different types of call outs that Samuel built for her. So that's great. And we have like a whole workflow that she has with Samuel where she can, in Notion, like she has like this blog wish list where she adds all kinds of
nice.
features she wants
Okay.
to be added, to have like added to the blog. And so this is how they collaborate together. When she
So,
needs something
yeah.
new for a blog post, she adds an item for it also in the wish list. He makes this other slice or this other integration with another tool, and then they can collaborate also on the blog like sections together.
Cool. Yeah. So part of I feel, and what I understand is part of the writing the blog post is also to have a structure that is not always like
Yeah.
rhythmed always in the same way.
Yeah.
You need to kind of change the rhythm in the layout and create spaces where it attracts attention, right? Someone talked about it, where a guest in this show
Yes, and
talked about
it's
this.
a very good connection with something that I was going to show you. It's that in the content that we create, we try to have very engaging pieces. So that's like the traffic that we bring on our blog. We can get people like to interact with us or to have like a more like richer experience with us.
Richer experience, yeah.
Yeah.
When in the blog and the
Yeah.
blog post have richer experience. So that's why we have these different sections.
Yes.
So it's not only about text. There is another
Yeah.
thing that bring that kind of attention and experience. And you said Grace has a workflow with Samuel to have this kind
To
of
ask
wish
for these
list of
types
like,
of
okay, it will
sections.
be great to have this kind of section.
Yeah.
It will be more engaging. Can you add it? And then they have a process between
Exactly.
each other. Yeah,
Exactly.
cool.
And so just to show you examples of some of what our clients did for these kinds of rich
Cool.
experience.
Yeah.
I love this example of this company. It's called made.com. So they have an inspirations section. So it's under ideas on their site where they see like it's kind of their blog. And something cool is that like they feature their articles in the images of their blog posts. And these articles that they feature, they also added a section where you can actually see the products from the catalog.
The
So this
actual
is
product, not only photos, right?
the actual products that are that were shown in the photos.
Right. Yeah.
So it allows like for someone who came and just read this blog post about, I didn't read the title, sorry, 6 styling and design ideas inspired by nature, to be able right away to like go and explore the products shown in the photos. And so this is a slice, and it's typically the kind of slice if we were like an e-commerce company like them that Samuel could bid for Grace if she puts it in the
Yeah.
wish list.
Hey Sam, can you add
Exactly.
one more section because I want to feature
Yeah.
actual products in our articles,
Yeah.
and then Sam will ship basically a slice that Grace can use afterwards.
Exactly. And
Mm.
something else that another company that we had actually in the product meetup did and had a good success with, so I'm just I want to share just for inspiration,
Cool.
is they built this quiz that they put in their blog posts. So like to find your perfect mattress, and it works really well for them, like as kind of maybe micro conversion section. And so yeah, this worked really well for them. And so for people who come to their blog, they try to get them to interact with their products through this quiz.
Can you tell me quickly what do you mean by micro conversion?
Yeah, like sometimes your visitors, they're not ready yet to subscribe or to buy a mattress, but you still like they're still interested a little bit in your product and they want to explore it more. And so this is like a smaller action that someone can do
Less
in your
engaging.
website. Yeah.
But what you get what you get. So the conversion what will give you.
So many people, they like try, for instance, to get the email so that they can nurture that person like that came. For the mattress quiz, I don't know. I didn't test it, so maybe
Okay.
they get the email. But just like remembering that you went to Sattva's website and that you took that quiz, it makes them more differentiated in your minds maybe than just another mattress company. So already it creates a different connection, I guess, with the brand, which is already something.
Cool.
Yeah, and this is what I wanted to show you for how we work and what our users did. So I hope it gives some
It's really
insights.
nice. It all already brings me some perspective of how things are going on. So
Cool.
That's really great. So what are the other things that we got for today?
I have 2 elements. So as I said initially, we are looking for writers to write good content, people who are interested in writing content for our blog. So we have an open position on Angelco, where I'm trying to see where is the live. Can you remove my screen, because here you will have Inception if you see me opening the live stream here.
You want to post the link?
Yeah, not like that. Yeah, perfect. So I will post the link. So if some of you want to write content, you don't need to be expert writers, but if you're interested, we're always looking for writers and people who want to get involved in this writing process. And if you're a marketer and you're curious about how we do a blog, or you want to put us in touch with the developers, or you want us to find you developers to build new sections for your blog, and you also want to give you a way to maybe book a call with us, and you can reach out to us. I'm very happy to share more about how we do and maybe recommend developers who can help you. So
developers or agencies, it depends,
or
right?
agencies, yeah.
If you are for a bigger work, then we can recommend agencies that already did this kind of work and they have the experience doing that, or just individual freelancers, developers that can help you with your strategy to build these kind of sections.
Yeah. So there's on the non-developer page of our website, you have a way to book a demo with us. And so, if you book a demo, you can also put a comment and say that you want to talk about blog and content creation and having slices for your blog. And I'm very happy to help you with that.
That's really cool.
Cool. And we're done with the content I prepared for today.
Cool. So that's it. Now, do we still have some questions? We have some questions that we didn't answer for Sam, but Sam is not here anymore. So I think if we don't have any other questions, then that's it.
Yeah, I saw that someone asked if we can share our SOPs. We want to do it. Maybe we're still improving on them and iterating on them. But for sure, when they'll be ready, we'll post them in our blog. So you can look there.
All right.
And something else, that we're doing this meetup first every month. And so if you liked this format of doing something more targeted towards marketers, please let us know and we can do more like this. So you can just leave a comment in the chat or in the comments.
Absolutely. When you tell us what you like, then we will do more of it, right?
Exactly.
So your interaction is very important. If you tell us, more of this marketing and inviting some people that know how they do stuff and they're succeeding, and they will do more of it. It's very important that, we get your feedback.
And this month we didn't talk much about the product, but next product meetup will be a lot about the product. We'll talk about starters and launch a contest for creating starters on Prismic. So I'm not going to tell a lot about it. I prefer that you come next month.
You already have the plan. And I know if Renaud and the product team will have some announcement or but we will learn about it next.
The idea is to
launch
contests that are in sync with product releases. So hopefully, yes.
Okay.
So
I'm intrigued.
Don't forget to sign up for next month's meetup. It's from the shows.prismic.io website. And it will be more product oriented. It won't be me. I'll be behind the camera. It will be Renaud.
Maybe I will convince you coming in here. Maybe you will come in my place.
You can ask him a lot of questions product related. And again, if you liked this meetup and you like meetups around content for marketers,
you can subscribe to this channel.
Yes, subscribe to the channel, but also let us know. If we look at our videos and see that video had a lot of likes, well, that's a good already. That's a good feedback. So we understand. Okay, we need to do more of that. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nuha, for being here with me.
Thank you for
often you're
having me.
behind.
Yes.
Now you're here. It was a good meetup. I really learned a lot of things.
Awesome.
So it was useful for me, at least.
Yeah, it was.
And it seems it was useful for
and
people.
I'm very happy to have had Sam, because I'm a big fan again of his content. So and thanks everyone for being here.
You
and
already have
with
some
us,
feedback. People like this format.
If we're 10 minutes late. So thanks.
Well, thank you very much. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.